the shop today. This weekend we're going to be working on a new sign project. This is a West Texas A&M at Canyon. This is my wife's college, and I'm going to attempt to do a backlit LED rope type sign. I made one for my cousin a couple of weeks ago, Browning Buckmark, black outside and with gold backlit, and turned out really nice. That was an experiment. I didn't really want to video it for the viewers and bore everybody out, but I think I have a pretty good idea how I want to design this one. It's going to have red glow around the outside. They didn't have maroon, which is WT's color, but I'm going to use the red, and then right in here around the WT I'm going to do I had some gold left over, so I'm going to use some gold inlay around the edge of this, and we'll see how it turns out. I think it'll turn out pretty good. Something that I have learned, and I want to pass this tip on to y'all, is if you're using vinyl and this is the part that's going to be your sign, try to keep the vinyl off of it, because I know this vinyl really sticks and leaves a lot of residue. So what I learned is, if you'll print your negative versus the original decal, this part will burn away and you don't have any residue whatsoever on your actual sign. So I hope that little tip saves some of y'all some little bit of anguish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. It's Friday evening, and this is probably going to take a few hours every day for a couple of days to get cleaned up, sanded and painted and lit up. But glad you came along, and here we go. A lot of people around town ask what kind of machine I'm running, and y'all may want to know as well on YouTube. It's a Prime Weld Cut 50 DP. Lila bought this for me for a Christmas present, and let me say, I have been really impressed with the machine. About a month and a half into the operation, the cooling fan went down on me. I called their service department. Within 30 minutes, I had a call back, and had a very nice American-speaking operator who diagnosed the problem immediately, said that was something that I could replace, and within 3 days he had shipped me a new fan motor assembly and got it replaced. So kudos to their service department. I'm extremely happy. I've got it set up on my little welding cart here with my Lincoln wire feed on top, and it's ideal for that. It's perfect for small fabrication jobs like these signs. So enough jabbering and talking. Let's get gloved up and a little bit of hearing protection and eye protection and get this cut out. I know y'all want to see it. I do too. Well, that didn't take very long at all. Cut was pretty good. You saw right here I had a little flame out on my wooden support here, but that's going to grind down. And got just a little bit of vinyl. But you see what I was saying about using the negative image of your vinyl. Now you don't have any residue to have to clean up, and it really does leave a lot of residue. So the next step is going to be to sand all of these areas and get the dross off of here, which shouldn't be bad at all. So let's go ahead and get started on that. This cut out quick. So we've got our design cleaned up, sanded, This is the side that's going to be visible. The backlit lighting will go on the back side of this. So our next step is to weld risers, 2 risers on the bottom, and then a riser slash hanger on top that helps it stand off from the wall. And the hanger at the top and the 2 supports at the bottom. So we're going to get these welded on with the wire welder, and that's basically the only welding we have to do. There's going to be a lot of soldering involved, but as far as welding goes, real simple. And there we go. I'll go back and sand my welds off and do a little sandblasting in my little sandblaster, and we should be ready for paint shortly. So we've got everything sanded down and sandblasted, and as you can see, we've got our spacers, wall spacers, standouts done. So time for a little paint, and then we'll be ready for the wiring itself. So let's get some paint on it. So we're inside the house here, and got the back side of our sign. You can see that this is the top piece with the hanger. Now I've got 2 colors of this neon flexible LED rope light. I've got the gold that I made the original sign with, and then I've got this red. And what I'm trying to decide is how I want to lay this out. I want the WT to show in gold. I want the outline of the buffalo to show in red. Base plate or the ground here I would like to show in gold, and I'd like it all to terminate at one end or the other. So I'm trying to decide how this needs to be. Probably going to make a loop of some way, shape, and form up here and splice into this and come down through one of the legs in red, 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 and a larger loop in red, and then tie into this. So I really don't know yet, but I'm going to kind of divide and conquer, and I'm going to start up here at the top, and we're going to see how that goes. The way that you fasten this is these little plastic clips that hold the LED, which are kind of nice. I use Gorilla Glue, 10-second Gorilla Glue, and position it around. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, now that we've got our perimeter glued, we need to mark and find out where we want to put our splice set. So I'm going to put a mark right here, just an X. That's where I hope to tie into it. I need to terminate this up here. And I didn't know much about these LED ropes at first, but really they're not that hard to work with. Every black line is a cut location where you're okay to cut it. So I'm going to pick the one just a little bit longer right there. So that's where I'm going to cut. And that's how you do it. Now we're going to cut into this. I'm going to get my soldering iron fired up, and we're going to put set of leads coming off here. So we have our X marked where we're going to splice into it. Again, we've got black lines on either side. So I'm going to take a X-Acto knife and cut into this right here. Peel this back where I can get in here and make a solder. Now our leads, it's all a 12-volt system, so this is kind of convenient if you ever wanted to run this in a vehicle or something like that, but you have AC transformers. But this brand of rope light, the profile of it is round on top and flat on bottom, and your positive lead is always going to be near the curved part, and your negatives, so the conductors that run through there, they're going to run like this. So that's what I'm fixing to do. Take the X-Acto and peel into this. Right here you can see our soldering buttons. Right there. So we're going to solder just like that. But for a little durability, I'm going to cut a slice in this cover, bring it through, and hopefully that's going to add a little bit of durability there. And something I have found that works really well, especially with old eyes, is this little jewel. Because with old eyes, you can never have too much light or too much magnification. Out the red. This is going to be the outline of the buffalo. We've got our gold here and here, so we've got our gold taken care of. So now what I've got to determine is how do I want to wire this all in. And I believe what I'm going to do, we've got a good factory end, good durable factory end. I think what I'm going to do, where I plan to have it sitting on the wall, power needs to come in from this direction, as so. And I think I'll run it all the way around the perimeter, come in here, terminate it here, make my splice here, put another splice in here, and run it down here to this piece, and run a tail here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, going to be a lot of gluing and moving real slow, so time lapse is going to be a friend on this. I'm not going to bore you for the whole thing. We'll just let it run time lapse, and if I have any troubles, you'll never know it. So, just kidding. So you can see here, it's not that big of a deal. When I first watched some tutorials on working with this LED light, I was really apprehensive about it, but it's really not that bad. I've kind of got a routine where I'll glue a clip, hold it with one hand, and while that's holding, glue the second clip and just alternate as I go down. So I've done the perimeter in red. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my mark And I got to thinking, I don't want the red to come all the way down into the ground area. So I'm going to make my mark here. I'm going to unclip it a few spots back till this glue really sets up. Make my cut. And we're going to make up a solder. So what we're going to do is we're going to make up a solder from here to here. So that will energize all the way around to here. And then all it is just, the way I see it, is dividing and conquer. Find the best place to tie in your splices and go from there. This piece. So if all goes well, these two pieces should light up. And I'm going to mark these pieces after that. So here we go. Yep. So far so good. It helps to check your connections a little bit along to make sure that you don't have a fault somewhere. So all looks good. Let's continue it on. See, okay, so you can see that I've repositioned here. This is the last piece that I've got to do. The WT is wired to this one, which covers one of the legs and ties in to the bottom piece. So I've got to cut this open and splice this piece in there. Seems pretty simple. Well, now the big moment. Hopefully all of my connections were soldered. Hopefully all my connections were soldered good, so let's see what happens. Voila. I'll get it hung up on the wall in just a second and kind of show you what the finished product looks like. This is the construction adhesive E6000. Like I said, I'll put it here, these locations right here, and that kind of stabilizes everything. But that's it. Not too bad. Started this on a Friday evening, and I worked a couple of hours on it each day, so I'll probably have 7 or 8 hours in it at tops. So not too bad. Let's see what it looks like on the wall. So here's the finished product. I'm pretty tickled with it. My daughter, someday she plans on going there hopefully, and my wife for sure, she loves it, being a WT grad. But let's see what it looks like in the dark. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Alright, that's a WT Buff logo sign weekend project. So thanks for coming along, and like and subscribe if you can.